I'm going to be talking about architecture in post-colonial contexts. This is Nairobi in Kenya, by the way. So colonialism is a factor that's contributed to the multiculturalism of our city today. I was born in Kenya, and I came to the UK when I was a teenager. I'm not unique in this sense. I think there's many British nationals like me who were born in Hong Kong, Pakistan, Nigeria, Ghana, South Africa, living in the UK today and the rest of Europe. Hence, the architecture of those nations have been influenced by the ideologies through their colonial history. Post-colonial contexts present a particular condition for architects and architecture because the architecture built is so intrinsically linked to the political context of the place. Similarly to how the architecture of the welfare state is so politically charged in this country, the architecture built in post-colonial nations reflects and represents the difficulties, contradictions, and dilemmas that the countries experience in their processes in gaining independence. The buildings cannot ever sit outside the remit of political scrutiny because each act is a representation or stance, either mirroring the aspirations and forward-looking spirits that were dominant just as independence was gained, or aimed towards a more cosmopolitan and transcultural reflection of our contemporary condition. Architecture was one of the principal means in which newly independent nations express their national identities, and I'm going to present a few examples of architectural statements in post-colonial countries that I find interesting. So to begin, this is Jane Drew and Maxwell Fry's school in Accra, in Ghana. The Millowners Association building in Ahmedabad by Le Corbusier. The Indian Institute of Management in Ahmedabad by Louis Kahn. And the Wakulima Farmers Market in Nairobi. And I think all of these examples are pieces of architecture that were created by Western architects who were brought in to design quite big institutional structures in order to make a statement of modernity and progression in these nations. Of these examples, none of the architects used traditional symbolism to reflect a local identity, but instead rooted the buildings in the place through addressing the issues of local climates and negotiated differences in relationships of indoor and outdoor spaces. And in this way expressed a new modern architecture and identity in the place. These next examples are local architects building in their own context. So this is the Wissa Wasif Center by Hassan Fatih in Cairo, a Gandhi Ashram in Ahmedabad by Charles Correa, and the Sangat in Ahmedabad by Balkrishna Doshi. And these pieces of architecture, designed by the local architects, on the other hand, kind of due to the architects' attachment to their identities or like their traditions in their cultures, were more inclined to include traditional symbols and aspects of their heritage within their designs. They did this in order to like mediate between the Western modern ideologies and like traditional. The traditionalism of the nations. So with Hassan Fatih, he used traditional methods of construction, the clay and bricks. Charles Correa used the pitched roofs of the village vernacular, and Balkrishna Doshi used the vaulted arches of Indian temples. These are more contemporary examples, but this is the primary school by Kere Architects in Gando in Burkina Faso, Palmyra House by Studio Mumbai in Mumbai, and the Makoko Floating School by NLE Architects in Lagos. And I think that now there's an overall acceptance of a transcultural approach to design and more emphasis on simpler, less institutional projects that can affect change through local communities on a more daily, everyday basis, but still act as a representation of hope and progression for these nations. Similar to, I think, how Ensemble are trying to work today. That was a little shout out to you guys. But yeah, thank you.